Welcome back. This is Dara, and this is the year we get our life organized through Notion. So if you haven't seen the previous 2 videos on this series, I encourage you to go back. I spent a lot of time talking about what is in the Life Organizer, why this is going to be a great planning tool for managing life. And then in video 2, I talked about some professional goals. So now we're here in video 3. And my vision for the year is all around wellness and whatever that form that takes. And so it's actually appropriate that the first personal goal that I share is on medical care. But before we dive into that, I want to show that in the past videos, I use a lot of database templates, and in my Life Organizer, I will continue to use templates. But here, I just want to house the ones that I'm going to use a lot. So client project templates, I get new projects all the time. My work goals, once they're all set up, and that probably won't, finish until March. Once they're set up, they're set. But that template actually is something that I might use for other type of goals. So it's fine to keep that there. But for things that I'm going to only do once a year, keeping it within the drop down for templates is actually going to be the best way for me to manage these. And as an aside, it allows me to share this more easily with you, because if you wanted to make it a database template, you would have to do it by scratch. But by me keeping it separate in a separate system, it means that right now, if you subscribe to me on Patreon, then you will be able to get this template as built and then just simply edit from there, which for the medical care one is going to be a great idea, because this template is going to be a little more complicated. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in and see what's in here. So I've done some pre-work, and I want to show that, I've got some standard exams. I want to get this set up. I want to know that these are going to happen. So there's all the wellness exams, eye exams, gynae for women. Guys do whatever it is that you do. I see a chiropractor. Of course, there's a dentist. And I should note that inside of these toggles, they each have a to-do list of things that happen. So the dentist, we have to schedule and visit twice. Wellness exams, there's usually some kind of lab and then follow up from there. So I've got that already set up with all the steps that I need. Now for the dentist or orthodontist, I actually am not setting these up as tasks, because these guys are actually very good at making sure we do not leave the office without an appointment. So I don't have to manage that through this system. Over here on the right side, I have a checklist for my health savings account. My employer does some incentives to help us contribute more money to that fund. And they're just kind of wellness type things. Like you see this first one, which I've done already, is checking the cost estimate for what these guys will cost. And then other things in here like, if I get my wellness exam, which my insurance covers in full, I actually get a kickback for doing that. So it's really encouraging wellness, because if you take care of your annual exam, then you should be healthier in theory and not have to spend as much money on emergency care. The rest of this stuff is stuff like exercise, weight loss, missions like going to bed, having good sleep hygiene, so going to bed at the same time every night, maybe turning off the computer and the TV at an early hour so that blue light's gone and that can happen, etc. Then this section here is just, I'm a budding herbalist, so I need to start, integrating herbalism into my healthcare. And so a lot of herbal remedies, they take time to make. So right now it's the end of January. I need to get started on making stuff for allergy season, because the allergy season starts at the beginning of February. All right, so then I have a place for if other ideas occur to me. There's this pretty packed. I can't imagine anything else occurring to me, but, maybe I might brainstorm some others. And then I've got where I'm going to put my task list. So let's go ahead and add that in. We want to change it to list view and delete that original view. And then right now, it's just in this template area. It's not part of the hub, so I can't filter it right now, but I will just put a temporary filter just so I don't have a bunch of stuff show up there. So that's going to be that the hub is empty, and in theory, nothing in the hub, no task that I've created should be should not be associated with something in the hub in theory, because either they're going to be closed quickly or there's some kind of umbrella, I use the word project for lack of a better word, umbrella item that I could house it with. All right, so now we've come to the complicated part of this, which is dealing with the money. This is really important. I just know that I've lost so much money in the past from not really being able to track what the insurance companies were doing with my payments. You know, you send a claim in and they split it up into different things. They put these codes on it, so sometimes it's not really clear what's, you know, being paid, what's not being paid. And even when you know you met your deductible, you still have to kind of go after them and say like, hey, this is my money. Like they, you know, with my son, we're trying to say, oh, well, we're not sure if he has other insurance. And I'm like, yeah, you are, because when I signed up for my insurance, I said he had no other insurance. And for each of his doctors, when I signed up on their forms, I've stated that he had no other insurance. So, you know, give me my money. All right, so let's go ahead, and this is now my gift to all of you as well, because, you know, I don't know what your insurance company is like, but, you know, mine is. Okay, so I'm going to change this to provider. This one's going to be the patient. And I actually want it to be single select. I just made it multi-select so I could quickly get that information in there. All right, then we're going to have the insurance portion. Oops, not date. Patient portion. Oh, there's actually one we went before that, which is the total cost. Okay, then we want payment type. And two that I know we're going to have already, we might as well put in now, is going to be the deductible and the out-of-network deductible. And let's just make those the same color. Payment status. Now this one is going to be multi-select and not drop down, because there is a high likelihood that something will be in two statuses at the same time. Like for most doctors nowadays, you have to pay at the time of visit. So the status will be paid, but then it's still going to be like submitted for insurance for either to apply for the deductible or to get reimbursement or what have you. And then the last thing is just going to be the date of service. All right, so I want to start off by putting in the deductibles. So let's start with deductible maximum. And it doesn't have patient, it's for everybody. So, but the patient portion is going to be -8 grand. So as the year goes by, we're going to be adding to that amount until we can get to 0. And then once it hits 0, then they should be giving us that money back. And so we're going to say this type is going to be deductible, and the status is maximum. That might seem weird, but it'll make sense later when we start getting into filtering. Oops. we're going to duplicate this and make this one the out of network. And that sucks that it's more because most of my doctors fall into this bucket. Let's go ahead and give this the start date of the beginning of the year. Okay, and now we want to go and do each out of pocket. So this time I'm choosing the patient and the amount of the deductible. And I'm calling this one opening balance. And I want to make that the same color as maximum. They go together. And also give that the start date of the beginning of the year. Okay, so really quick, I'm just going to duplicate these and do the same thing for each of us. So we each have an out-of-pocket, we each have an out-of-pocket, out-of-network. All right, so now that they're all set up, let's go ahead and start to create the filtering states that we want on this. So for this first one, the default one, this is actually going to be the view that we have to insert our data insert, our data entry view. So I'm going to go ahead and sort this by the date. And then I'm going to filter. And for this, I just want to not see this stuff that we just added, because this is going to be just the visits themselves. So we're going to say that the type is not, not type. The status does not contain maximum, and it does not contain opening balance. Okay, so that's going to be the default view. It's ready to add the first item. For our next view, this is going to be the all right, so for this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sort again by the date. And for the filter this time, I want the patient to be me, and I want the payment type to be deductible. All right, so I'm going to duplicate this. So you just go over to this wheel and say duplicate. And then if you go back in, you have the chance to rename it. Okay. And this time I'm going to change the filter to say out of network deductible. All right, so I'm going to do this for each of us. And the next view that I would do after I do an out-of-pocket for me and both kids, and the out-of-network for me and both kids, I want to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this again. But this time, this is going to be our out-of-pocket max. And so for the filter, all I need to do is take out the patient and also take out opening balance. Okay, because remember the opening balance was for each of us, where the maximum is just for the maximum. And then of course duplicating this one so that it becomes the out of network. Oops, I'm creating extra records here. And since that says out of network, it means that I made a mistake on this one and I selected the wrong deductible. So let's just change that to that deductible. All right. And what I should have been doing is putting this calculation on all of these. let's add that in real quick. So this way you can see when you've made that deductible. All right, so the last view I'm going to put in is going to be a payment status. Okay, and it's going to be board. And I want to go ahead and group these by the payment status. I'm going to hide opening balance and I'm going to hide maximum. Okay, because we don't care about those. I'm going to add a group of paid, which, let's make that gray, which I'm also going to hide. If it's paid, I don't need to see it in status. But obviously the ones that are not, that are still in process, you know, I want to see that. Or if it's paid but it's been submitted to insurance and I'm waiting for a response, I want to see that. Okay. So that's basically how the base template is going to work. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add all those, and then let's go ahead and try out and see, you know, how this template's going to work for us. I'm going to come back to my life organizer. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the template. I'm going to just drag and drop it into the hub. Boom. That's how beautiful it is by just putting them all right there. All right, so let's go to the hub. Open this up, and we are going to put 2020 at the end. And we're going to update this to 2020. Okay, so let's use this. So now here's the great thing. I've already done some of my appointments this year, so you can kind of see how this is going to be working in action. So let's change this task filter to say that it contains medical care, which we can put now. And then I'm also going to say that the type is personal, because all of these are going to be personal. There's no work ones in here. And so by doing that as a filter, it means that the metadata for the task is going to automatically be there, and I don't have to add it one by one. All right, so let's do the eye exam as an example. And this one is something I've actually done. We all had our eye exams done, which is something that would not have happened had I not put the system in like the first week of January. You know, right, actually New Year's Day is when I started this. So New Year's Day I put the system together, and you know, never in the history of time have I gotten all of our eye exams done in January. So I'm going to put the 31st as the thing. I'm going to leave workday empty because it's actually completed. And I'm going to mark these off. So I just wanted to show you how it would have moved through the system. So since it's complete, I'm going to go ahead and drag it to archive. Okay. Now the nice thing is if something comes back, I can just put it back in, and then give it a work day and unmark it as complete, and it can come back, and I can work on that again if something came up. I don't expect anything to come up with our eye exams, but okay. So wellness, let's put this one in. And for this one, my plan is to have this wrapped up by the second week of February. So I'm going to put my next work on date as the 3rd, because I've already got this in progress and I've already done these again. I mean, I'm so organized this year already. So these are already done, and I've gotten the labs done. But what I did do is that I had my work on date. So the day that I wanted to call to schedule the appointment, then when I got the appointment, the date that it showed up, that I was going to the visit, I mean. And then he told me I needed labs, which I was expecting. And so the morning I decided to, you know, because you have to fast ahead of time. So the morning I decided to go get my labs. And now I'm going to put my next work on date for when I'm supposed to follow up after having gotten my labs. Okay. So again, that's in progress, and it's going to show up on my calendar or my task list on February 3rd. Now, the nice thing is that if I'm planning this, you know, I could say, well, I already know that her exam, Dia's exam, is not going to be until September. So I can go ahead and put here for the work on date. And so September 1st, I need to go schedule that appointment. So it's already planned out in advance. That's great for me. So let's go and just, look at our task list, and we'll see that in the stream, I've got, this exam here, but I've got this exam that's in progress. And on my, the home page of my organizer next week, is next week the 3rd? Yeah, next week, that is going to show up here as something I need to be working on. All right, let's get back into the hub and back into medical care. And let's take a look at how, and I can also, so I checked off the personal costs. I can also check out on physical, because the doctor will let them know that that happened, or well, they'll see the claim when he goes to get his money. So the doctor will see, they'll see that happened, and then I'll get the credit for that. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that off. There's nothing else I need to do there. All right, so let's look and see. So we did eye exams. And so I want to go ahead and track what we paid for. All right, so let's just do an example. Now, I actually put the doctor's names in there, but I'm not going to advertise anybody here. So the cost was $534, and insurance paid $457, and so our patient portion was $77. So, and the only reason it's so cheap is that she only got lenses. Normally, not only does she get frames, but she always gets frames over the insurance, and it costs a lot. Don't worry, my son decided that he was going to make up for that, because not only did he get lenses for his current frames, but he wanted a whole second set of glasses, sport glasses, which are not covered at all by insurance. Was hoping that wasn't going to happen. This is a copay. Okay, so this is going to show up as I see things that are, when I go and look at the default view, if I go and look at, I set up, so I'm only looking at on the other views at things that go towards deductible, but I could create another view where I say, well, how much in total did I spend on this person in the family? All right, so the status here is paid, and this was done on the 15th. All right, so let's do one that's going to be applied to the deductible. Okay, so since I know that I haven't, it's the first month of the year, it's literally the first, second week of the year this was going on. Let's put this date in. This is definitely towards deductible, so the insurance is not going to pay anything. But it is a deductible payment. I'm going to say this is paid and submitted. And I want to watch this because I want to make sure that the claim goes through and that it does in fact get applied to deductible. So now you can see how this is going to work. As I go through the year, I'm just going to be adding stuff here, but then when I go in, I could see here's, this is out of network. Okay, so here is Zach's out of network. We can see that he's got $6,000. He's already paid this much, so he still has more that's going to be applied. He will exhaust this amount. We can see in the maximum how much has been applied. So once he's exhausted, there's a little left for my daughter and I to share, and we'll probably max it out. So I'm just expecting that we're going to spend $12,000 on out of network. And then the last, we should all move to Sweden. Anyway, that's a political conversation. So then also here I can see the statuses, and I'm going to now actually hide paid. I don't care if it's paid, but I do want to track that this has been submitted to insurance. I can go in, and I'll probably go back to the template and do this as well, but I can show, see what I want to show. So I think that the cost, yeah, I didn't need multiple things of money showing up, so just the total cost is good. All right. Anyway, so that will do it. That's the full template as it stands. You see that this money section is going to be the most useful for me in tracking money in a way that I have not been doing it in the past, and I wish that it had occurred to me years ago to do it this way. And of course, I'm going to be able to go and knock out and make sure that all these exams happen, and that I'm making more money to pay for these exams, and that I'm also supporting myself in a non-allopathic fashion that will help save money on other things like other emergency type care functions. So I hope you found this useful. If you were following along and building with me, that's great. If you were like, hey, there's a lot going on here and I would just like to get a copy of what you did, then perfect. Go ahead and subscribe to my Patreon channel right now, and you will be able to get as a benefit this template free. The other benefits are getting to see this series and other things that I do on early release. So your support means a lot. It allows me the time to actually do these activities and to support these activities. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you next time.